Aloha guys, you're watching GRTV. Pleasure to be over in Ward Village. Lovely setting. There's some vine with flowers and Whole Foods across the street. And as a matter of fact, they're building some new construction over here and there. Cool stuff going on. It's a good time for me to give you all an update. You know, my most recent video was regarding reincarnation, and you know the reality is people are going to agree and disagree, but it's important to, if you're going to provide feedback or even just your own positions, there are things that you'll like and dislike about people, right? So I think it's most practical to be professional when you're offering your critique. Offer a balanced opinion. I agree with this point, I disagree with this point. And that's not to take out of consideration other elements. Nice restaurant here too called Merriman's. I mean, although it may not be vegan, it's just a nice atmosphere, right? I'm sure they have some vegan alternatives. And what has occurred to me is, one of the things about vegans is some of them have this mentality of animals being equal to humans. Like, we should, for example, stop that we should somehow stop the people who are whaling and different things. And I could see protests, but to actually physically, some nice buildings there, yeah, Ward Village. To actually physically, attack someone, even verbally, it's like, I think for me, humans always take a precedent over other creatures, with the exception of, say, extraterrestrials or other beings that are. Look at this nice sculpture here, more of Ward Village here, like the building. In fact, there's a pool right up there. You can see that infinity pool right on top of us there. It juts out, pretty cool, yeah. In any case, the deal is we'll walk through here briefly. I want to show you guys around. Look at the infinity. Very, very nice. High-end design and architecture. There. All right, so in any case, the woodwork above us, yeah, and even the all the ground, it's got these nice square stones, pointed arrows, all this nice effect here. So this is called the Anaha Tower, and it's just stunning. It's simply imagine seeing this. You can look around at the things and enjoy them vicariously. You don't have to own things. The concept of ownership is interesting because, and it's a paradox. In fact, today I'm going to talk about paradoxes. One of them being the idea of ownership, and I'll get back to the vegan thing in a moment. I haven't forgotten where I am. It's called Ward Village. This is the W and the V here. Yeah, nice effect there. Some Hawaiian music in the background. And so one of the paradoxes being that, like, if you own something and after 3 months it gets boring. So the paradox is that if you rented it once in a while, a fancy car, house, maybe went on vacations and to nice restaurants less often, you would enjoy them more so. So that's the A paradox. By the way, I want to show you guys this nice suit here. Very, very nice suit. It's a Burberry's. You notice the plastic bag there. I always keep bags and napkins in case. This is a lovely tie too. It's made in the U.S. in America, and it's made by this company called Jay-Z Boulder. Big fan of their creativity and materials. And the bottom line is that see Ward Village. See. The bottom line, okay, is that regarding the paradox of like veganism, is it's all about, it's complicated because, at one point I want people to be healthier so they're not, and take care of their health and their mental health, by self-introspection instead of depending on psychologists, instead of depending on dentists, just take proper care of your teeth, avoid fluoride, do oil pulling with coconut oil, which is where you swish oil. It just all types of different stuff, right? The point being, check out the lovely fauna here. The nice, very fun, and basically, very nice stuff. They even have a journal, a little newspaper for the Ward Village. Just want to show you guys here for a moment. Just give you a feel for, where we are. It's a lovely place, It's all been, all these buildings, all of this has come up, within the past 5 years, 10 years. It's all brand new. Okay, so like I was, right? The paradox of the doctors and everything. People can take care of all that stuff on their own, generally, with the obvious exception of stuff like emergency surgery, stuff like that. And but all that put together, right? So what else is there? Stuff going on here. There's the paradox, the prostitute paradox, where if somebody was a prostitute and somebody approached them, if they recognized each other or then it would be different because they respect each other, in theory, and they wouldn't want to either seduce one with money or body. And this happens even if you don't use labels like prostitute and whore and promiscuous and whatever. It's either no intimacy until marriage, or somewhere in the middle, or there's no really middle ground though. You're either for your dreams or you're not. And that is what I would call, that's like I said, the prostitute paradox, where if you actually respected someone, and guess what? And that includes yourself. If you really respected yourself and your dreams, you would reserve your energy and your care and your love and of course your sexual energy too, because you need that energy in order to generate what you want in your life. It's energy, right? And if you give it to your dream mate, they're going to use it to build up the same mutual dreams as you. Your dream mate's somebody who you'd want to be with, even if they were, through rich and poor, and maybe if they were in a wheelchair, anything. Absolutely want to be with them. This is somebody that you can imagine. Okay, it's somebody that you can imagine that you know, they're what would you do if they, you know, they were there and they were watching you? What, you know, what would you do? You see what I'm saying? And what a magical thing. And this next one isn't so much a, well, let me conclude that. So the prostitute, right? If you, and this, you know, it's anyone in general. These are, oh, check out these little minis, though. I never saw these minis, too. Look at it. See the minis? So nice. You know, if you really care about someone, right, you don't want to seduce them. And it's a paradox, because really you should really care about yourself. And the danger of quote unquote caring about people, though, is, in a sense, is that it involves sort of unconditional love. And by the way, unconditional love shouldn't be just given randomly. That's a false concept. It should be given to people who you specifically see would be receptive to and appreciative of it, and wouldn't take advantage of it. And you know, you have to be defensive around people who would take advantage of your kindness. That's the first chakra, right? And what else do we have here? Just showing a little more scenery. Yeah? Very nice effect. Alright, so continuing on, another paradox is the idea of love, quote unquote. People say, "Oh, I love you," but really, I believe you can only love and be committed to dreams. So when people, especially parents, they tell their kids they love them, really it's that they care about them, but only in the sense of that it's, you know, they're young and they brought them into the world and they have a moral obligation. They want to raise them up in a positive environment. But my opinion is that you can't really love somebody until you let them go, and there's no longer any either party feeling obligated to each other. Instead, what there is two people who are financially independent, and by the way, it's not a good idea to label somebody your son or father. If you're older, you should want to label each other equals, like friends, and refer to each other on a first name basis. It helps with, it's good for psychology and everything. You know, and this isn't the implication that you don't respect each other. It's what it is it's that you actually respect each other, so much so that you want to. Showing you guys a little scenery here. You know, you respect each other so much so that you don't want to force each other to love each other through obligation or anything like that. So what am I saying here? I'm saying that true love is something to do with the fourth chakra, where you have activated your first three chakras independent of anybody else. And in that, when you do that, you're truly able to truly love authentically and without any condition. In other words, unconditional love, right? So parents should teach their children how to take care of themselves, so that they can get to a place in their life where they can truly love authentically without any ulterior motive or sense of obligation. Now, there's another paradox out there. Okay, but first I want to describe this idea. It's love versus fear. It's a pretty common idea, but I want to suggest that if people aren't actively in pursuit of love, that it's just fear. So, for example, if you're not actively pursuing your dreams and you're just trying to placate or tolerate or pretend with other people. When you have a choice, when you have a choice, when you have a choice, that's a magic concept. When you have a choice to choose, what do you choose? That's how I judge people. So somebody might not have much money, but maybe if they did, they'd live a vain and disrespectful lifestyle. Or maybe they wouldn't. Maybe they would be responsible with it. Let's see. Any other thoughts here for you? Let's do a little breathing. I like to, when I exercise or like jog, I want to do it so I can deep breathe. And same, I do a set of push-ups. I do deep breathing, and that's just throwing out different stuff, all positive stuff. What else? Love. First comes. Love is like a higher emotion. Like, I think, like one of my goals is to improve the world, so that I can feel comfortable being in a romantic and taking the time to have a romantic relationship with my future dream mate. Right now in the world, I think there's people suffering, and that's the level I operate at. I operate at the level that there's some bad stuff going on in the world, and I want to take care of that before having children, etc., etc. I think that's a perfect strategy. It's unity consciousness. It's me saying, you know what, I'm going to take on the responsibilities of the difficulties out there. It's my burden. I'm gonna investigate it. Another thing worth investigating is why there's this discrimination towards women, talking about big or small breasts, and men, big or small penis size. And the reason for that is obviously we all know, civilized people know that people are respectful, and they don't talk about these things, or joke about them. And it's an act of bullying and unkindness to bring up certain topics that are politically correct. Incidentally, the pussy vagina is politically correct, on a side note. But the thing is the types of people who talk openly about certain sexual matters, like I aforementioned, they're immature people who, are just, they're either trying to. It's what it is the issue is competition versus cooperation. And in some instance, people think that, I need to, it's either love versus fear. In love, it doesn't matter if somebody has an attractive body or lots of money, because they are only going to be with one person, their dream mate. So in fear, it's where people are seducing each other and they're using their body and wealth and leveraging it. But the cool thing is as somebody who's, classy like myself, and perhaps you, a viewer, what we can do, and the idea of class is associated with joy, you know what I mean? But what we can do is we can be like, okay, instead of being upset at these people who are perverted and have the right to and do engage in certain lifestyles, non-committal, half-hearted, not putting themselves first, not respecting themselves or others. The ego makes it think like it's cool to have no self-control, but really it's cool to follow your dreams and be kind. The ego makes it, and this is another paradox, by the way, the ego makes it think it's cool to be rude, but it's actually not. it's more impressive to be kind and warm-hearted. And so the deal is, guys, is how do you deal with people who talk openly about certain sexual matters that are, or look, even like men who wear tight pants in their for their crotch area, or women who wear tight top, I don't think is politically correct. But all that considered, right? The most important thing is that you need to transcend all of that. You need to be able to look at people straight in the eye, whatever their situation. First, judge, make sure that they won't be like a potential threat, but just glance in a friendly way straight in the eye, or just, you know what I mean, like a quick smiling glance at all people all around. You need to be able to look at them and whatever they're doing, however they're living. When you walk around in public and you look at people, you need to be able to do it with a kindness and a certain confidence that comes with somebody who is pursuing their life and is true to themselves. That's your power, right? And okay, all that considered, right? This, I feel like I've had a good share here, and we'll consider any thoughts. I know that I repeat similar ideas throughout my videos, but this is kind of, that's part of life. Like, how different religions, they'll repeat the same ideas over and over again. It's mental programming, and it's programming you to be smart and strong and perceptive and self-determining. That's at least what I'm trying to do. And the simple stuff, guys, like wearing a ring. Oh, I check out the nice watch. Wearing a ring, it just gives you power, and you want to be able to look at people. People want you to be confident. They it doesn't matter if they're couples or they're whatever it is. You know what I mean? They want you to be kind and confident. That's what people want. Instead of thinking of all this other stuff, like, oh, people want you to have money or whatever. And by the way, your dream mate, they won't want you to, they won't want you to have or like, if you think that you need money to impress someone, if they're not part of your dream mate or your dream team. And how I qualify people, one of the main things, probably the main thing, is I ask people, do you believe in no premarital intimacy? Or the better word than believe is, do you prefer or do you practice non-premarital intimacy? The word believe is a little too abstract, if I might say. And find out how you want to define people. There's important things in your life. Maybe it's exercise. Maybe it's a certain political inclinations or something. Find out what's really important to you in order to determine that. All right, thanks for considering, and remember to visualize bright beams of light. You can, just like with your fingers, you can imagine beaming out to people. Imagine people smiling in your head. Imagine people are beaming each other. They're holding their hand out like a wand, beaming a brilliant white light out, and you can see people, like, their auras activating, and imagine others reacting in astonishment to it. And this is, the perfect activity also to program the mind to attract that type of thing, to attract joyfulness into your life. Aloha, guys. Take care.